when Jim Jones's own son shocked everyone by publicly standing with Chrissy. Yes, Chrissy. The courtroom not only upset the order but also the internet. Camron, looking as smug as ever, practically laughed out loud in court. Jimmy's son radically altered the account, making it appear as if he had just watched the ending of a soap opera he had covertly produced. Mama Jones had said that Chrissy was the reason the woman at the center of leaked USB drives was the target of courthouse slaps and whispered betrayals. Imagine a courtroom with hardwood floors, a stenographer tapping frantically, and the cameras rolling. We can promise you that this is a dynasty collapsing in real time. And what just transpired inside that courthouse isn't just history, it's reality TV treason. This wasn't just any court day, sir. We already know that the courtroom has been the setting for a diaper disaster movie ever since Mama Jones went full WWE and open-palmed Chrissy across the face, and we watched Chrissy pull out. The sound of heels clicking down the aisle sounds like it's a love and hip-hop reunion special. That enigmatic USB stick seemed to be her last card, but it wasn't, because Camron was leaking mixtapes and Mama Jones was launching merchandise with her. Luckily, it was only a slap, but this new development, Toe Baby, is a plot twist that no one anticipated because Jim Jones's son, let's name him Junior, he approached the courtroom today with his head held high and told the judge that Chrissy had been the only genuine person there. At the time, he was meant to be the neutral party, the next generation heir to Harlem's hip-hop legacy, the one who would stay out of the mess while the adults worked it out. Present the entire time, Camron Cam sat 2 rows behind the defense bench, sat back, folded his arms, and smiled without grinning, adding, "I brought snacks because I knew this was coming." Let's break down. According to our anonymous source, Junior requested to make the judge, who had already left the circus, reluctantly nodded when the voluntary statement was made during the pretrial hearing. "I'm not going to keep watching everyone trash the only person who ever had my father's back, guess," Junior said, turning to face the room as one reporter slipped. Chrissy didn't flinch, instead tilting her head as though she had anticipated it. Keep in mind that this is the same courtroom where Cameron's leaked tape accused Chrissy of being a double agent feeding her pen, and Mama Jones reportedly remarked, "He's brainwashed." Let's get into the specifics. Insiders claim that Junior and Chrissy had been privately talking for weeks before to the trial, not for the sake of reconciliation or PR damage. We feel that Chrissy was cornered in the courtroom, so why would Jim's own son support her? However, with regards to protection, one leaked message allegedly from a burner WhatsApp chat states that Junior told Chrissy that her mother would attempt to bury her with falsehoods, which is evidence of internal betrayal, and the kind of behavior that escalates a family dispute into a bloody civil war. Days before the hearing, enough more court documents were filed, and it was found that Junior had requested to see what was on Chrissy's USB drive in order to ensure he understood the contents before they were made public. Translation: Junior knew the tapes were going to shake Harlem, and he needed to know which side of the explosion he wanted to be on. It turned out that Chrissy had receipts, and the USB purportedly contained camera footage of her delivering cash wrapped in bills and voice notes from Mama Jones discussing fraudulent real estate ventures using Jim's name. Speaking to well-known Dipset associates, "I've heard that rumors are currently circulating that Camron and Chrissy were, in fact, allies and covert participants in a protracted scheme to reveal Mama Jones's role as a twisted matriarch in a hip-hop adaptation of Game of Thrones." In his courtroom statement, Junior is now taking sides. He also claimed to have heard his grandmother, Mama Jones, mind you, discussing plans with a VH1 producer to alter the story and make Chrissy appear unstable. They allegedly intended to broadcast modified film and restore Mama as a well-known Mama Jones supporter, and former Dipset manager claimed in a now-deleted tirade on Twitter that Camron always looked at Chrissy like a second mom, which went viral. The judge reportedly shocked the room with his remarks while portraying Chrissy as a villain, but not everyone was laughing. Twitter fans shared videos of Junior and Chrissy on previous episodes of Love and Hip Hop, and the rival even smiled as Camron nodded in court with the message, "When you knew the tapes were heat and bringing popcorn instead of a lawyer." During the lunch break, Junior was spotted leaving with Chris, not Jim or his team, and not even in neutral. One camera caught her whispering something to him, and fans are still trying to figure out what it is like in the Zapruder movie. In the meantime, Facebook labeled Junior a traitor to the throne and accused Chrissy of quissif of controlling a boy who is still unsure of what true loyalty looks like. That angry screenshot was shared again because Jim Jones's supporters are split, and the lines between the warring factions are becoming clear. A spokesperson for Jim Jones eventually gave the media a general statement that read, "Jimmy loves his family and wants the drama to remain off the record. His focus is on peace, not petty." In other words, Jimmy is trembling in his timberlands. Because if his son is siding with Chrissy Camron, he will be bursting into laughter in court and Mama Jones will lose control of the Dipay narrative. Chrissy is no longer crying and her empire is crumbling from the inside out. She is tactically winning and wearing heels. But hold on, we're not even close to the dramatic climax that, according to our sources, didn't come from the USB end but rather from Cameron's legal team. The stenographer even paused typing for a time, and one of the bailiffs coughed as though he had choked. And just when you thought things couldn't be any more tense, Jim Jones moved forward, locked eyes with the judge, and delivered the one sentence that turned the entire courtroom into a human pressure cooker. Let's take a moment to clarify what happened. On Spit, Mama Jones became viral on TikTok in a matter of seconds. You could just see the steam rising off her wig as she gripped her pearls and mumbled something so disgusting that the woman sitting next to her actually moved seats. Since the beginning of this Harlem soap opera, Jim's son has never publicly stood up for what he believes in. Instead, he has always been neutral and out of frame whenever family drama made news. Now, however, he is in the spotlight in a courtroom, defending the exact woman his within minutes of the grandmother's declaration that she was a traitor to the family bloodline. Transcripts were leaked by an individual who clearly didn't care. Jim's son not only supported Chrissy, but also charged Mama Jones with organizing a smear campaign, claiming that Chrissy was trying to protect Jim from financial ruin because he didn't identify anyone. But he didn't have to, since Camron was sitting in the back row, giggling like he was in a Broadway play, pulling out a bag of peanut M&Ms, putting one in his mouth, and making the most obnoxious "well damn" sound. Is this petty or strategic? After Jim's son made his statement, guess who slid a manila envelope across the courtroom? Cam's leaked tapes triggered off this whole courtroom drama, and now he's watching it play out like a villain in a Tyler Perry finale. When the judge requested Chrissy to elaborate, she rose calmly and said, "I've kept my mouth shut for years to protect this family. But since the court seems confused about who's betraying whom, let's make it clear." Chrissy suddenly appeared at the defense table looking like Olivia Pope, replete with receipts. Easy. Then all of a sudden, there were emails, bank transfers, and receipts that allegedly showed Mama Jones had started a side business utilizing Jim's name, likeness, and brand without getting his consent. What's worse is that it was all related to a New Jersey warehouse that had previously garnered media attention during a 2019 Dipay affiliate rage. Do you recall the tale of phantom contracts and unregistered real estate endeavors? Yes, it was the same facility. But hold on, things get sticky. Chrissy also brought in apparently a phone call between Mama Jones and a well-known Harlem fixer was captured on audio that was played over the courthouse speaker like a mixtape premiere. If you thought the courtroom was dramatic before, you weren't ready for what came next. The voice in the video said, "Burial Chrissy and make it public if she continues to dig." We don't know if the voice was indeed that of Mama Jones, but the room acted as though Beyonce had just entered. One woman fell. The judge took a 10-minute recess, and Camron jumped up, gave a single clap, and said, "Twist the plot." Meanwhile, as #ChrissyENSO started to appear on social media, TikTok detectives began comparing the voice of the leaked audio to records from other reality shows. Circulating on Twitter, one genius conducted a detailed analysis using waveform analysis and concluded that, yes, she is Mama Jones. She had the same energy, breathing rhythm, and accent. However, throughout this time, Jim Jones was still a ghost. Appearance: no statement, just a solitary Instagram story with the words "pray for the truth" and a candle burning. Mama Jones' lawyer requested in court that the tape be disregarded due to its unverified, cryptic, melancholy, and meaningless origins, but the prosecution protested and ordered a full forensic review after the judge agreed to demand an investigation into what was on Chrissy's USB drive. This is where things really heated up outside the courthouse, as a group of Chrissy supporters began to congregate and make homemade signs, t-shirts featuring her face, and even custom foam with folding chairs and laminated booklets on family Betrayal. The older and louder admirers of one daughter-in-law, Mama Jones, fought like it was the versus battle of the decade, forcing police to set up barricades. Had barely just started inside that courthouse when someone used a megaphone to play Cameron's old diss track. Jim's son wasn't done speaking, so he took out a handwritten letter dated 2 weeks earlier that was allegedly written by Jim Jones himself. During the first courtroom slap, he read aloud the letter that included the following statements. Tell my mother to stop taking charge of everything. I don't know who to trust anymore. Chrissy might be my only anchor in this mess. Mama Jones made a pin drop noise and started to fidget with Cameron was now chewing gummy worms, while Chrissy just leaned back in her chair with her arms crossed, unflappable as a cucumber marinated in revenge. The judge finally had enough and declared that the case will now require closed-door hearings because due to the tremendous public interest in the possible criminal repercussions and social media upheaval, cameras were prohibited, cell phones were seized, and even the court sketch artist was expelled. But it was too late because the entire transcript of Jim's son's statement was made public within hours. Leaked. Then bootleg audio of the courtroom clip was uploaded to YouTube and Telegram on whatever questionable Discord server the internet could locate. Reaction videos were overflowing with hashtags, and Team Chrissy and Team Mama Jones jokes were becoming more popular than I kept the files, I kept the silence, but I won't keep taking the blame, wrote Nightfall Cameron, one of Nicki and Card's Twitter followers, in an Instagram picture with a black backdrop and white lettering that read, I told y'all loyalty over legacy. Chrissy went live for exactly 24 seconds without makeup or filters, simply staring into the camera. She then logged off, but in the interim, someone pretending as a former member of the Dipset tour began sharing what they termed the Chrissy Chronicles. There were no tags, no captions, just vibes and pandemonium. Everyone is swallowing it like hot wings during a hurricane due to a slew of allegations of financial mismanagement, stage fights, and hush money that date back to 2013. The question that everyone is currently asking is whether Jim's son is behind Chrissy, and Jim's own statements suggest that he does not trust Mama Jones. Then who is actually in charge of the Jones legacy? With the court closed, the next significant disclosure must come from outside the building because, as Harlem has taught us, secrets are never kept hidden, especially while Chrissy is still in possession of additional data. And guess what? The internet was still fighting in Harlem when an anonymous Twitter account posted something that stopped the internet from scrolling late that same evening, and USB wasn't the only one. YouTubers were live streaming themselves reading court documents like bedtime stories, and the contents of the second USB, or more accurately, the so-called shadow drive, was hacked. What's worse is that recordings of private emails between Jim Jones and Mona Scott were leaked, indicating that VH1 executives were fabricating stories to make Chrissy look crazy. Get ready for an alleged contract where, according to the leak, Mama Jones was involved in a secret effort to bar Chrissy from all upcoming love and hip-hop projects, and it wasn't limited to television. It was more than just a dispute. It was a complete assassination of a woman's career. And the worst thing was that the receipts were too excellent to ignore. In the midst of all of this, Cameron recorded another video from Dubai, this time lounging in an endless pool, and continued to giggle as he hinted about excluding her from brand collaborations, Deped-affiliated goods lines, and even undermining her real estate assets. VH1 was in full panic mode as inside sources claimed that emergency meetings were being conducted to consider damage control after reading Andy's letter, while drinking orange juice and saying that some of you truly believed Chrissy was the culprit and that you all owed that woman an apology, was purportedly posted on Twitter, but it was too late. They had already been downloaded, copied, and included in 50 separate private group chats, YouTube videos, and threads with titles like Mama Jones Exposed and Chrissy's Revenge. Since it was precisely 8:30 a.m., let's go back to Chrissy. There's always been a distinction between loyalty and silence, and I decided to keep quiet in the hopes that the truth would speak for itself. But now you can plainly hear it tied to a decision she was making while the internet was arguing which side to support. The next morning, 3Minute Voice, a verified Instagram account known as Chrissy's official PR, shared a message that left fans stunned. They were immediately examining every word as though it were a Grammy performance, and one TikToker said that Mona's voice could be heard faintly in the background. We need fresh blood. Chrissy's story is stale, Maybe because to a note allegedly written by Jim Jones himself, in which a man whose voice remarkably resembles Jim's Vince tells someone named Tone about how his mother turned the entire crew on Chrissy. Whether it was true or not, the public believed that Cam knew more than he should have and that he was losing control of the Dipset legacy to a group of irate old heads with personal agendas. This belief drastically altered the atmosphere overnight, as people who had been disparaging Chrissy for 2 weeks stopped doing so. Even Cardi B tweeted IB. However, those who had previously referred to her as the Harlem Harriet Tubman of reality TV claimed that she had broken free from the shackles of questionable contracts, familial manipulation, and character assassination, endured everything and brought receipts. She deserved her own demonstration. Now, let's discuss Fallout Mama Jones. Following days of ambiguous Facebook posts and unimportant subtweets, she became utterly silent, and then the hospital records were leaked. Yes, a document that allegedly revealed Mama Jones had been checked into days after the courtroom slap. Some fans showed sympathy in a private Manhattan center for hypertension stress trauma, but others didn't hold back. One viral tweet made fun of her for being tough enough to smack Chrissy but too frail when the receipts hit brutally. In a surprise clubhouse meeting that lasted 3 minutes, Jim's son doubled down. As he told it, the audience fell silent, with supporters saying, "Y'all only saw half the story. I was brought up to protect my family, but my family also has to protect you." Chrissy had been standing by my dad. A generational shift in loyalty and a rejection of manipulation occurred while those around him were licking his name clean. It was a public declaration that sometimes the truth comes from the person that everyone tried to silence, and Jim Jones finally broke the silence while sitting in the Breakfast Club of all places. Charlemagne Jim, who seemed exhausted but composed, stated, "I will always love my mother, but something happened that shouldn't have happened. Certain things were made public, and I'm not yet prepared to talk about them, but Chrissy didn't merit everything that was said, much, but it was sufficient to alter popular opinion. In order to calm the storm, perception claimed that it prepared the way for reconstruction, but reconstructing the legacy of the Dipset family, the family